Today we are going to talk about climate change and global warming. First off, climate change is something that isn't new. It's actually been very normal for the global climate to change over time. The Earth has gone through 5 natural ice ages due to this normal occurrence of climate change. However, around the late 1800s, the carbon dioxide levels in the air started to increase at a fairly steady rate. In the 1950s, the Earth's atmosphere surpassed its previous CO2 record high of 300 parts per million, and today it is at 400 parts per million of carbon dioxide. So what's causing this? It mostly has to do with a thing called the greenhouse effect. To get a better understanding of the greenhouse effect, let's review what greenhouse gases are. Primarily they are made up of carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide, methane, fluorinated gases, and the ozone. Now that we know more about greenhouse gases, we can take a look at what the world looks like when greenhouse gases are in abundance and when they are not. The following is how the atmosphere works without an abundance of greenhouse gases. Solar radiation passes through the atmosphere and hits the Earth's surface. From there, it is absorbed by the surface and turned into heat. Additionally, the surface re-emits long-wave radiation back into the atmosphere, where it eventually gets released into space. However, when excessive amounts of greenhouse gases are in the picture, it doesn't work out that way. That long-wave radiation gets trapped because the greenhouse gases act like a semi-permeable ceiling, leaving it with nowhere to go but back to the surface, further warming the Earth even more. This is what we call global warming. Okay, so now we know about the greenhouse effect and what greenhouse gases are. But where are they coming from, and why do they have such an abundance all of a sudden? Well, the cause is actually mostly human. Here's a quick history lesson. Think back to what I said earlier about when the change started in the late 1800s. Can we think of anything else that happened in the late 1800s? If you're thinking the Industrial Revolution, you are correct. Since the start of the Industrial Revolution, the use of CO2 emitting factories has become a staple in the way that most products are made. Combine that with an economy that caters to an entire population, and you get a spike in CO2 emissions, aiding the greenhouse effect and producing global warming. Besides the factories, livestock farming and landfills are the other 2 largest contributors to CO2 emissions, all of which are linked back to human beings.
So then, what does our current climate change pattern mean for us? Well, global warming has resulted in global average temperature rise, specifically 1 degree Celsius since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, with 15 of the last 16 years being the hottest on record. There's also an increase in extreme weather event frequency and quality, such as tropical storms, floods, and droughts. A decrease in snow cover is another result, allowing more insects to survive through the winter, causing an overpopulation problem. Ocean acidification is happening as a result of CO2 emissions as well, killing coral reefs. Warming waters means that there is a global ice retreat and rising sea levels as well. To iterate how serious this is, the country of Bangladesh is in serious danger of not existing anymore, suffering from flooding from what should be considered light storms. And every one of these problems is linked back to human beings. So why have we not done anything about this yet? Unfortunately, there are people who believe that global warming is not something that can be stopped and that it is not a result of human activity. Even more unfortunate is that many of these people are politicians who have the power to ignore the problem. The current administrator of the EPA is someone who believes that measuring human influence on the climate is something that is very challenging to do, and that CO2 emissions are not the main cause of global warming. What we can do as civilians is acknowledge that global warming is real and happening, and raise public awareness. At a large scale, those who hold the power must find a way to decrease CO2 emissions. You, as an individual, can work on reducing your own carbon footprint, but real change won't happen unless action is taken globally. Thanks for watching.